Hello and welcome to Tack It Up. I'm Hilary, and today we have something pretty interesting to talk about. The internet is all abuzz about the 2020 model year of the C8 Corvette and whether or not it will become more valuable due to the coronavirus pandemic. The thought process behind this is fairly simple. The plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky had to shut down for several months due to the pandemic out of an abundance of caution and some supply chain issues, therefore meaning that less cars will be produced in the 2020 model year than originally anticipated. So, therefore, less cars equals more rarity equals more value. Simple, logical thought process makes sense, right? Well, I'm not convinced. So we're going to do a little math today, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm not so sure that the 2020 model year will be that much more collectible, if more collectible at all, than it was before. So, stick with me. We're going to do some math today. If you want, grab a paper and pen and you can do it with me. So, we're going to do a direct comparison with the C5 Corvette, specifically the 1997 C5 Corvette. And the main reason behind this is the numbers. I'm also fairly familiar with the C5 Corvette and therefore can give you guys some more interesting tidbits along the way. But in 1997, the first model year of the C5 Corvette, they only produced 9,752 cars, which really isn't all that many vehicles for a production year of the Corvette. And therefore, it makes it a great comparison because it's about where we will end up with projected final production numbers of the 2020 Corvette. So let's get into that math. So far this year, in the Bowling Green, Kentucky plant, they have made 2,700 cars this year. And this year, we're 5 months in, but they really haven't been doing 5 months of production. They didn't start producing the C8 Corvette until February. And then you have to remember 6 weeks later, they had to shut the plant down again. So this is only really, 1.5 months of production. Really not that much. And if you divide that back out, that means on average, they produce 1,800 cars per month. Really not that many cars so far this year, but quite a lot of cars per month. So then you assume how many more months of production do we have this year? And well, if you say, okay, they're going to start in June, we have 6 more months. Well, that's not true because typically model production years end and switch over around September. So we really have, June, July, and August. That's only 3 months. So if you multiply this out by the 3 months remaining in the model year, you end up with 5,400 more cars this year. That's how many more cars will be produced this year if GM stays at the same production rate. And so you can add to that the 2,700 cars that were already produced, and then you end up with 8,100 cars total for 2020. So that, that's about 1,600 cars less than the 1997 model year. So we're in the same ballpark. But just to check my math, we're going to do the math again a different way by looking at historical production runs out of the Bowling Green facility. And we're going to use some recent years just to make sure that we are staying relevant to current times. So I've chosen to use 2018 numbers, which it was a little over 18,000. By a little over, I mean it rounds up to 19,000. So we're going to round that up to 19,000. And the 2017 numbers, which were over 25,000, but it rounds down to 25,000. So if you average those, it ends up with about 22,000 cars produced per year on average. And so we're going to use that. So you figure we have 1/4 of the year left. So that means that based upon the historical numbers, 1/4 of the year left will lead us to have 5,500 more cars produced in 2020. So that's 100 off from the other way we did the math to get there. And then you add the already produced 2,700 cars, and you end up with 8,200 cars produced this year. And that is even closer to our 1997 number. That is $1,500 off of that number. So why are we comparing it to the 1997? Well, the 1997 Corvette is not necessarily any more collectible than any other C5, despite the low production numbers. And you might, personally feel a little differently about that, but more people I know who seek out C5s are actually looking for the 2000 and later model years. And that's partially because some of the upgrades and changes that GM made to the model throughout time, and those later model years had some more robust bits into it or new features that car lovers just seek out, and some kind of creature comforts or, things that have stood the test of time maybe a little bit better. So the 1997 isn't something that you see people going, oh, I want a 97, it's really rare. I mean, at least I haven't found anybody saying that. If you have, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, so we're in the same ballpark. And the other thing to remember here is, so far GM has only produced on one shift. They have enough people and they're cross-training them and shifting them in and out of the plant out of an abundance of caution and to kind of take care of some of the concerns with the coronavirus. I mean, good job to GM taking this seriously and trying to protect their workforce and also trying to get us world-class cars. I really appreciate that as a consumer. So they've only been producing on one shift, but they really have the manpower, if this coronavirus concern goes away, that they could bump up to 2 shifts. So that means that in theory, you could double the amount of cars that could come out on the back end of this. I don't think it will double because it will take some time, and I'm not really convinced that GM will actually go to 2 shifts this year. I mean, we're long ways away from a vaccine for the coronavirus, so I think that's highly unlikely, but that 5,500 number is fairly conservative considering some of the things that GM could do to boost production numbers and get more cars out the door. So, will it be more rare? I don't think so. I mean, I really don't. I think GM's gonna keep giving us good stuff. The Z06 version's gonna come out. There's gonna be lots of new packages and things like that that I think might be more collectible over the next several years. They're gonna start producing the convertibles soon. And those types of add-ons are probably going to be what makes a car more collectible or not. But there is one caveat to this, and that is rarity in colors and also options. So because of the shorter production year, there may be certain colors that will become more rare. And a good example of this is in the 1998 C5 Corvettes. There were 2 colors specifically that had extremely low production numbers. And the most notable of this is the Aztec Gold. There were only 15 cars produced in 1998 in Aztec Gold. It is hailed as the lowest production number C5 Corvette color, and therefore extremely rare. If you have one of those cars, it's probably painted in the original factory paint color, and you probably hail it as rare. But they also produced only 14 of the navy blue in 1998. And the reason that's not hailed as the lowest production number is because my understanding, based upon my research, is they were used as promotional vehicles and for marketing aspects, and not necessarily something that you as a consumer could order and have delivered in that color in 1998. So even though it's more rare than the Aztec Gold, it's not necessarily given the same production kind of title to it. So those cars are extremely rare because there were so few produced. But we're talking like teens, not even 20 cars were produced compared to thousands. So that being said, there may be some colors, like for example, if you got a Zeus Bronze 2020 car, there may not be that many produced. You may end up with something extremely rare just because the option you picked, they won't produce that many in this year. The supply chain issue for the more special colors has been something GM's talked about a lot. We've talked about it in another video we had, and we saw it firsthand at some of the GM talks at Corvettes Carlisle, where they discussed Zeus Bronze and several of the other specialty colors having some issues with supply chain and getting kind of some of the trim pieces and things like that that needed to be specifically colored for that car. So the other thing that is notable here is there are a couple colors in the 2020 year that will be going away for 2021. Specifically, the Blade Silver Metallic, so that's the silver color, and then the Long Beach Red Metallic Tank Coat. So those two colors, it's more like the maroony kind of color and then the silver color, will be traded out for two new colors in 2021. And those colors are the silver flare, and then to be traded out with the blade silver metallic, and then the red mist tint coat will replace the Long Beach red metallic tint coat. So if you ordered one of those and your order has been accepted by GM and you know that when they start up, they are going to be building your car in that color, congratulations. You may have just lucked your way into an extremely rare car color. Maybe. And then there's also, some options that may be rare coming out of this year just because the low production numbers. If you got an option not a lot of people got, or they have trouble getting those pieces in for that option and they end up producing less, you may have just gotten yourself an extremely rare Corvette because of that option or color paint code. Unlikely, but possible. So we will see. But the other thing to keep in mind here is that we as consumers oftentimes get to decide what we think is valuable and what we think is rare. So if we don't value it as consumers, nobody's gonna pay more for it. So really, the future of this car and whether or not it is more valuable is up to us. If we value it higher because it is a lower production run in 2020 because it is the first year of the C8 Corvette mid-engine, then it's going to be more valuable in the long run. But we won't know that today. 20 years from now, we can look back on this video and say, yes or no, Hilary was right, or Hilary was extremely wrong about whether or not this car was more valuable. But based upon what happened with the 1997 Corvette and the production numbers and them being so close to what we believe will be produced in 2020 for the C8, I'm just not convinced that it's going to be that much more rare. So my advice to you is if you get a 2020 Corvette, if you are among the elite several thousand people to receive one of these cars in the first model production year, congratulations. You should drive that car. You should enjoy that car. It was designed, built, and engineered just for you to go enjoy it out on the street or the track. And I suggest you do so. I don't think collecting dust in your garage is going to have you have some great windfall 20 years from now. I just don't. But that's my opinion. So if you feel differently, comment down below. Let me know. If you didn't like my math, let me know what you would have changed about it. And yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Time will tell. Thanks again for watching Tack It Up. If you liked what you saw here today, don't forget to hit the like button. You can always subscribe to our channel if you have not subscribed already. You can follow us on Instagram at tack_it_up. You can follow me on TikTok if TikTok's the thing you do at tack_it_up_Hilary with 1 L. And you can always find us on Facebook at Tack It Up. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time. Bye.